we're taught the idea that we should give, share, and prioritize generosity over our personal interests. But has anyone warned you about the dangers of being too kind and compassionate? We live in a world where we don't always get back what we give. A world full of generous people who deplete both their financial and emotional resources through indiscriminate giving. If this is your first time on my channel, I ask for your support by subscribing and liking this video. This small gesture helps me a lot. Could excessive generosity even put our own lives at risk? Be amazed by the unexpected negative effects that kindness can bring you. Today, I will reveal 8 things that happen to you for being too nice and introduce 4 Stoic strategies to prevent people from taking advantage of you. Without further ado, let's get started. Number 1, you'll have unrealistic expectations of people. The Stoics emphasized the need to accept circumstances as they are and not base our happiness on the actions of others. By giving without expecting too much in return, you avoid disappointment and practice emotional detachment, leading to greater peace of mind. Imagine this scenario. You strive to be generous and kind, giving your best to others without expecting anything in return. This attitude is noble, but often we find ourselves consciously or unconsciously expecting others to respond with the same level of generosity. We hope people will recognize our efforts and reciprocate similarly. But what happens when these expectations are not met? The root of this problem lies in our expectations. By assuming that others will respond in the same way we do, we put ourselves in a vulnerable position. While it's natural to want others to appreciate and value our actions, Stoicism reminds us that we cannot control the actions of others. We can only control our own actions and reactions. It's difficult for us to be completely altruistic in our generosity. Consciously or unconsciously, when we give everything, we expect others to do the same. However, you've become so accustomed to doing everything for them that they'll take for granted that you can handle everything in both their lives and yours. Especially yours. Why should they assume your responsibilities? The truth is, your expectations of reciprocity will not be met, and what will happen to you is that you'll end up in a bad mood, fatigued, frustrated, and disappointed. Stoicism teaches us that our true wealth lies in our ability to give without expecting anything in return, finding joy in the act of giving itself, and maintaining our peace of mind regardless of others' responses. Number 2, people will only expect you to give them something. The Stoic practice of moderation becomes an anchor in a sea of endless demands. Instead of giving in to others' limitless requests, Stoicism urges us to balance our generosity. By giving in a balanced way, we maintain control over our actions and avoid falling into patterns that drain our emotional well-being. People often adapt to situations and environments that they find comfortable. This human tendency is where the concept of the comfort zone is born. If we constantly take on others' responsibilities, we allow them to remain in their comfort zones. They don't feel the need to grow or face challenges because they know we'll always be there to cover for them. The problem isn't just for others, but also for us. When we take on others' responsibilities, we neglect our own needs and priorities. We find ourselves trapped in a cycle of giving without receiving, which drains our energy and undermines our emotional well-being. Practicing moderation and giving in a balanced way allows you to maintain control over your actions and avoid falling into habits that deplete your emotional well-being. If you get used to giving all the time, the beneficiaries of your generosity will expect you to give them something all the time. It's important to give, but it's also crucial to maintain a balance. By setting clear boundaries and practicing generosity in a balanced way, we not only preserve our own peace and well-being, but also encourage others to take responsibility for themselves and grow as individuals. In this delicate balance, we find true generosity that nourishes both others and ourselves. Number 3, your priorities will be trampled. The Stoics emphasized the importance of living according to reason and virtue, setting boundaries, and prioritizing our own responsibilities as essential to maintaining balance and avoiding sacrificing our authenticity and well-being for others. If you're giving everything for other people's priorities, you might find yourself running away from something inside you that causes pain and fear. The emotions that arise in these moments of solitude can be overwhelming. The feeling of emptiness, the deafening silence, and the longing for connection can create deep emotional distress. It's in these moments that we often seek refuge in others' needs. We immerse ourselves in serving others as a way to fill the void we feel inside ourselves. The cost of this relentless giving is high. You lose yourself in the process. Your inner voice is drowned out by external demands, and sooner or later, when you face the stillness of your own being, the pain and fear you've been trying to avoid will emerge with renewed force. It's crucial to recognize that attending to our own needs and priorities isn't selfish. It's a form of self-care and preservation of our authenticity. The Stoics teach us that setting boundaries and living according to our own virtues isn't just an act of self-love, but also a path to a meaningful and authentic life. The next time you feel tempted to run away from yourself by constantly serving others, stop for a moment. Acknowledge those uncomfortable emotions that arise in solitude and embrace them with compassion. Allow yourself to be authentic in your desires and needs, set healthy boundaries, and learn to say no when necessary. You'll find that by honoring your own authenticity, you not only strengthen yourself internally, but also become capable of offering balanced and genuine generosity to others from a place of fullness and authenticity. Number 4, you'll be seen as weak and treated as such. Stoicism encourages us to cultivate inner strength and self-control by setting boundaries and practicing self-discipline. If you help too much over time, you might be seen as an authority figure in the area where you collaborate with others, but you could also give exactly the opposite impression. In this context, the lack of boundaries makes you vulnerable. People perceive this weakness, and instead of respecting you, they may begin to take advantage of you. They see you as someone willing to shoulder others' responsibilities without question, which can lead you to a situation where you're constantly overwhelmed, exhausted, and frustrated. When you start saying no firmly but respectfully, something incredible happens. People begin to perceive you differently. You're no longer the one who's willing to carry everything without complaint. Now you're someone who values yourself enough to set boundaries, someone who deserves to be treated with dignity and consideration. This shift in perception is crucial. By uttering that small word, you transform the way others see you. You're no longer an easy target for others' endless demands. You're a strong individual, capable of defending your boundaries and therefore deserving of respect. Ultimately, respect doesn't just come from what you do for others, but also from how you treat yourself. By setting boundaries and practicing self-discipline, you're sending a clear message to the world that you deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. So the next time you find yourself in a situation where your boundaries are being tested, remember the strength that resides in that small word, no. By saying it, you're standing up for yourself and affirming your own worth. Number 5, you'll have too many but situations. People will only come to you when they need something. When you become someone who's willing to help unconditionally, it's natural for those around you to start noticing. However, this attention can have a dark side. People who once considered you a good friend might start excluding you from social activities, reserving your presence only for when they need something. This pattern of behavior may seem ruthless, but from a pragmatic perspective, it's not so surprising. People rarely invite their employees or collaborators to share moments of leisure. It's more common for those invitations to be extended to close friends, family, or people with whom they have a genuine and equitable relationship. This change in how they treat you can be disconcerting and, in many ways, unfair. You find yourself in a position where you give freely, only to feel excluded when it comes to joyous and relaxed moments. This selective treatment can hurt and provoke feelings of disappointment and betrayal. However, from the Stoic perspective, this type of behavior is a test of your discernment. It challenges you to recognize who truly values your friendship and appreciation and who's simply taking advantage of your generosity. It's important to remember that Stoicism doesn't advocate becoming cynical or distrustful, but rather cultivating a deep understanding of human nature. Through discernment, you can choose to help those who genuinely need it and who will appreciate your genuine support. By doing so, you not only protect your own energy and resources, but also surround yourself with people who appreciate you for who you are, not just for what you can give them. Ultimately, this challenge gives you the opportunity to practice Stoic self-discipline. You can choose to set clear boundaries and decide how you want to spend your energy and time. By maintaining your generosity in a balanced and focused way towards those who truly value your help, you can live according to Stoic principles and find a sense of peace and satisfaction amid the complexities of human relationships. Number 6. You'll attract only needy people and never those willing to give. According to the Stoics, our actions and thoughts emit energy that attracts people with similar vibrations. When we cultivate a positive mental and emotional state, we radiate high vibrations that attract equally positive individuals, generous, enthusiastic, and genuine people. However, when we give indiscriminately and exhaust ourselves emotionally and physically in the process, our energy weakens. We start to vibrate at a lower frequency, attracting needy people towards us. These people, far from being authentic and willing to give in a mutual relationship, approach us only to satisfy their own needs. Additionally, this low frequency also attracts opportunists, individuals who have no intention or resources to help, but see in us an easy source to get what they want. The key, according to Stoic philosophy, lies in discernment and self-discipline. We must learn to recognize when we're giving too much and draining our own energies. This involves setting clear boundaries and practicing moderation in our generosity. By doing so, we maintain our vibrations at a high frequency and attract people who value our authenticity and are willing to contribute reciprocally to the relationship. By being aware of our energies and practicing balanced generosity, we can cultivate authentic and mutually beneficial relationships. These relationships are based on reciprocity, respect, and genuine mutual appreciation, rather than one-sided exploitation. Ultimately, this allows us to live according to Stoic principles and experience true human connection based on honesty and integrity. Number 7. You could fall into addiction. When the Stoics warn us about the possibility of falling into addiction, they remind us that moderation and self-control are essential to maintaining a balanced and healthy life. In the context of generosity, practicing self-discipline protects us from falling into addictive patterns that can arise when we feel constantly drained and needy due to our overextension. When we live according to Stoic principles, we recognize that generosity must be in balance. Giving without measure and without restrictions can deplete our emotional and physical reserves, leading us to seek relief in addictive forms, such as excessive eating, drinking, or gaming. Stoic philosophy teaches us to pay attention to the warning signs that come to us through the people close to us. If someone we trust points out that we're resorting too much to certain behaviors, we should take those observations seriously. It's natural for our first reaction to be denial, especially when we're caught in the cycle of an incipient addiction. However, these concerns come from a genuine place of care and love. On our part, accepting these observations with humility and gratitude is a crucial step towards self-awareness and personal growth. By doing so, we're practicing Stoic philosophy in action, applying the principles of moderation and self-control to avoid falling into addictive traps that could undermine our health and well-being. Remember, people who care about us do so with the intention of helping us overcome challenges and move towards a fuller and more meaningful life. By taking their observations seriously, we demonstrate a deep consideration for our own well-being and a genuine commitment to our personal growth and long-term happiness. Number 8, you'll arouse suspicion. Stoicism encourages us to act virtuously regardless of how others may perceive us. By focusing on living in harmony with our principles and values, we build a genuine reputation that's resilient to unfounded suspicions. Although we'd like things to be different, the truth is that genuinely kind people aren't abundant in this world. Therefore, if you're one of them, you'll arouse suspicion instead of admiration and gratitude. It won't be long after you show your kindness before people start wondering what's going on with you and what hidden intentions you have that you're not revealing to anyone. Does this mean you've found a group of distrustful people? Not necessarily, but it's more likely they're realists. Most overly enthusiastic people tend to hide intentions so sinister that it's better to stay away from them and refuse the help they want to provide. Let's look at the strategies to avoid people taking advantage of you, or strategy. 1. Listen to your feelings. They're speaking to you. Based on the Stoic idea of self-awareness, pay attention to your emotions and feelings. The Stoics believed in the importance of self-reflection to understand your reactions and needs. By listening to your feelings, you can identify if you're giving too much and draining yourself emotionally, allowing you to adjust your approach and find a healthy balance. How do you feel when you help others while neglecting yourself and prioritizing them? Practicing this should make you feel as if you're walking on clouds. So if you feel overwhelmed, drained, angry, or used, it's time to pay attention to your feelings. If something you're not obligated to do causes you such discomfort, it's essential not to deceive yourself so you can discover how the help you're providing is affecting your well-being. Does this mean you've found a group of distrustful people? Not necessarily, but it's more likely they're realists. Most overly enthusiastic people tend to hide intentions so sinister that it's better to stay away from them and refuse the help they want to provide. Let's look at the strategies to avoid people taking advantage of you. Strategy 1. Listen to your feelings. They're speaking to you. Based on the Stoic idea of self-awareness, pay attention to your emotions and feelings. The Stoics believed in the importance of self-reflection to understand your reactions and needs. By listening to your feelings, you can identify if you're giving too much and draining yourself emotionally, allowing you to adjust your approach and find a healthy balance. How do you feel when you help others while neglecting yourself and prioritizing them? Practicing this should make you feel as if you're walking on clouds. So, if you feel overwhelmed, drained, angry, or used, it's time to pay attention to your feelings. If something you're not obligated to do causes you such discomfort, it's essential not to deceive yourself so you can discover how the help you're providing is affecting your well-being. Strategy 2. Lose the fear of the word no. Following Stoic teachings, recognize that your time and energy are valuable and should be allocated consciously and balanced. Saying no in situations where you feel overwhelmed or when the request is unfair is a way of exercising self-control. While the word no is often associated with negativity and pessimism, it's normal for us to struggle with saying no. However, negativity is what our lives will become if we don't develop the skill to say this word when someone demands more from us than we can give. Practice in front of a mirror and convince yourself that it's the only way to reclaim your freedom and avoid unnecessary and potential risks. Strategy 3. There's a time and space for you. Respect them. Following Stoic principles of self-discipline and self-respect, it's essential to set aside time and space to take care of yourself. Do what you enjoy. Practice yoga, draw, listen to music while sipping tea, whatever motivates you. Finish your obligations as soon as possible so you can practice this. This is something you should take very seriously as scheduling this time daily or weekly. Therefore, if someone asks for your help during that time, they must be very respectful and cooperative with you, not with the other person. So without remorse, tell them no and enjoy that time and space just for you. If you don't want to be so blunt, you can offer your help at another time, but always make it clear that your availability will be limited because you have a life to attend to. Strategy 4. Identify energy vampires and stay away from them. Following Stoic principles of self-discipline and discernment, it's important to recognize which relationships benefit you and which can drain you emotionally. By distancing yourself from people who constantly drain your energy and don't contribute positively, you're taking care of your own well-being and applying Stoic self-control in your relationships. If you try to help an energy vampire, you should know that it won't work. These people overwhelm you with their complaints, pains, and catastrophic view of life. Forget about helping them. They don't want to solve their problems because that would mean stopping their complaining, which they wouldn't tolerate. In conclusion, according to Stoic wisdom in life, the best measure for things is always the middle ground, and generosity is no exception. If we give too little, we seem selfish and greedy, while if we give too much, we end up completely drained of energy, time, and probably money as well. So, lean towards the grays, which remain the preferred tones when it comes to finding a balance between prioritizing others and ourselves. And when in doubt, always remember the magic word, no, especially if they're offering you a ride home from the car window. If you liked our video, give it a like, subscribe, and comment so YouTube knows that this type of video helps people like you, and we can continue creating more similar videos in the future. See you in the next chapter, Stoic. And remember that life is a rewarding challenge. This is Podium of Success.